Aiboan, and welcome to yet another interview conducted by the Media Club of Amuthu Iskole. We'll be posting content like this in both Sinhala and English. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channels, Ramit Diersekara and The Life Traveller. This was probably the most saddening interview we've done in the recent past. But moving on, let's go to Ukraine. P.S. You can find the whole interview on Little Stars Sunday morning, next Sunday. Good evening, everyone. I'm Himal Hasranga from the Media Club of Amuthu Iskole, and I'm certain many of you are aware of the current situation that is escalating between Russia and Ukraine. We have a very special guest today. She's a journalist, photographer who uses the name Anya Korburt. We'll be asking her a few questions relating to the situation to see how we, as Sri Lankans, could help Ukraine at this moment of time. We know that wars like this can be heartbreaking and traumatizing, as we, as Sri Lankans, experienced such a civil war for 3 decades. We pray that Ukraine becomes free from this invasion soon. Moving on with the questions, my fellow member, Netum Aryasena, will proceed with the first question.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Netum Aryasena. My first question is, how were the last couple of nights?
I must say that last couple of nights were really crazy because on the first day, Russia were pretending shooting only to military objects, and they were focused on the airports and on the military bases. But already from the second day of war, and now we have 6, so already during 5 days, Russia, without any hiding, shooting the private houses, shooting into medical centers, in the kindergartens, in the, I don't know, they even were trying to shoot into blood station, gathering blood for curing people. So it's not fair war at all. They're using hard weapons that are prohibited for using during the war inside the city. They're using Grad, they're using jet rockets, and that's really crazy, especially because we haven't done anything for them. These nights, usually for many people in Ukraine, they spend night in the underground floor, or some of them sitting in metro stations. And some of the people sitting in these metro stations hiding already during 5th day. And imagine, we already have some women that born children in metro station. And some of them took their animals with them. And that's really crazy situation. And our volunteers working hardly to help these people to receive food because there are problems with the transport, and that's why there are problems with the food, especially in these big groups of people. And my mom is in Kharkiv in the east. And last 2 days, it was really even more crazy because Grad is, as I know, it's kind of a rocket near 2 meters, but you should check. So Grad is something like you have a cassette and there are near 40 bombs near 2 meters long, but you should check on the internet, I don't remember. And when they're shooting, if it goes into the building, for example, it can ruin, for example, few rooms. But now they started to use Iskander rockets. And what about Iskander rockets? That if one of these rockets go into the house, all of the houses, all floors of the house just ruin down like domino. And we have this, and house, okay, my friend's house were ruined like this. It was just during 1 second, 9 floors like going down. And for these rockets, even sitting in this 0 floor wouldn't help because everything will be broken. And that's so unfair to use it for peaceful people. I mean, it's maybe it's okay in some situation bombing some military armies, but they're afraid to fight with our army. They just stay far away and take the bigger rocket and just put these bombs to our children. We already have a lot of dead children because of these situations, and it's really crazy. And now even more bad news that just in this moment I've heard the news that Belarus started to go with their army too from the north to Kiev. But Kiev is feeling well. Kiev is feeling well now. We have a lot of good soldiers. We have also territory defense military groups that were gathered from the civilians, and they also have weapons, and we are fighting. And even people who don't have weapons, we are doing Molotov cocktail. It's you take a bottle and you put some benzene and stuff inside, and then you can fight and throw it for the technique, for the military technique of the aggressor. So what I must say, Putin is aggressor. This is genocide to Ukraine, and I'm happy to see world consolidating because of this problem. But I would be even more happy if the world will understand the situation before, because 8 years ago, when they occupied Crimea, when they occupied Donbass, for Ukrainians, it was already not a question that Putin is a crazy person and should be I don't know how to say. Yes, but now after 8 years, Europe and the whole world finally understand this, and I just hope all of my friends and parents will survive. But it's a big question now, and that's very sad.
Hi ma'am, I'm Sarala Ekanayak. My first question is, how do you think this war will affect the economy?
For sure, it would be not good for the economy of the country. I mean, but what is better, it's totally not good for the economy of Russia. And Russian economy is falling down now, and this is good news for Ukraine. But about our economy, it will be really hard, because after Maidan, even occupation of the Crimea and Donbass had it was very bad for our economy, because we should put more money for renovating territories, for military service, not for something genuine good. For example, in Kharkiv, just this year, previous year, we renovated Central Park, we renovated Philharmonic, we renovated Central Concert Hall, and we did in Kiev a lot of roads. And now everything is in ruins, and it's not even the beginning. We don't know where it ends. For sure, it will be not good for our economy. But good news is that whole world is consolidated now, helping Ukraine, and I hope we will have this money for renovation, because the whole world helping us today. What is more efficient with military forces, with some military equipment, but also humanitarian sources, and also money. So I think we should just stop the aggressor, and after economical problems are not so hard, and we will deal with them. But now, like every second, a new rocket, a new bomb can come and ruin just house with children, with women, with somebody who can't escape to Poland until this moment. And some of the people just don't have possibility now to escape this war, and somebody stay just to help. And that's really crazy situation. And how it all began, that's so that's a metaphor of real fascism, because they started this war bombing all of our cities at 4 in the morning. It was, as I know, it was the same during the World War II. And I think, and all of our nations think, that Russia and all politicians are waiting for tribunal court in Gaga, and because it's already too much for civilized world in the 21st century.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am. I'm Jalanu Patte. My first question is, what according to you actually started the war?
The roots of the war it are psychological problems of the dictator Putin, who is like the dictator Hitler invented in his head something stupid about he wants to consolidate many countries into one Soviet Union, and it would be something great and something under his power, because Russian nation, unfortunately, now is under his power. And I saw video I can send to you for big meeting of people, near 100 people in Moscow, also in some other city in Russia, running from one policeman, running from one. They're afraid. It's the nation of people who are afraid. But in Ukraine, we have another video, like one person without weapons stay in front of the tank to stop it. And the roots of this war are in that that Putin thought we will afraid and we will take our weapons down and we will accept everything he brings to us. And now I think he sees that it's not how it works. And for example, when they were occupying Crimea, it was already third occupation of Peninsula Crimea by Russia. Previous two occupations took part in 19th century. And the people who were first to live in the Crimea were Tatar people, and Ukrainians were all the time living peacefully with Tatars. But the problem with Russia is they also hate different nationalities. And after this invasion, a lot of Tatars moved to another cities of Ukraine to live. And but how they occupied Crimea, they usually use not fear war. For example, in Crimea, they were hiding behind the women, behind the children, because they knew that our soldiers wouldn't shoot to women and children. And that's why it was a very quick operation of occupying this territory. Also in Kiev, yesterday, they used a very unfair technique, because we spread and use information that the soldiers who come with white flag, we wouldn't hurt them, we just accept it. And they came with a tank with a white flag, and that then came in closer, they started shooting our people. And it's totally unfair game. And so the roots, really the roots of this conflict is in psychological problems, but also in some informational war and some informational, I don't know how to say it. It's kind of hypnosis. They all the time spreading fake information all over the Russia. And even now, on the 5th day of the war, when a lot of my friends were sitting in shelters under the bombing, some of Russian people, we have some friends, some relatives there, were calling, and some of them were saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, that's crazy, we're trying to deal with it." But other people were calling and saying, "Oh, we're happy, Russia came, they will free you." And we were saying to them, like, are you crazy, man or woman? I'm sitting under the bombing. What's saving? Just go away. Go fuck you, Russia. But they didn't understand. Even in this moment, some of the people were so under the hypnosis. They think, yeah, it's really. They believe in this fake news, and that's really crazy. How whole country can sit and watch this fake TV and be into some fake world. Because I think that when all the other countries, like all over the world, all other countries have other position, they should think a bit more. They should think maybe our news are fake, maybe we are not right. And now we are also trying to make some informational campaigns to Russia, but they have really strict government. I heard that even for reposting something truthful about about Ukraine, they can go to prison for 10 years for fake information. So that's crazy. And the roots of this war are in the very soft democratic position of the Europe and America and other world, because even after occupying small part of our territory, the answer of Europe and other world should be as big as now. And in this situation, we wouldn't have this huge military conflict with a lot of dead people. But now it's escalated too much. But it was expected. Ukraine, we expected it. but we couldn't explain this to the other world because nobody believed that such kind of dictatorship and terrorism could exist in 21st century. Now they believe, but unfortunately it's a bit too late.
What's the current situation of the civilians living in Ukraine?
Some part of civilians were happy to escape, and Polish, our very best friend, Poland, our very best friend and good country, now taking refugees from the Ukraine. And I don't remember exact numbers, you can Google, but a lot of Ukrainian people already went there. But most of civilians in Ukraine are sitting in shellings or sitting most on the in the underground under the bombing. For example, my grandfather in Kharkiv yesterday went to this underground near 4 times. And I must say that he is 85 years old and he don't walk much because usually he can't enter this underground. Usually to bring some vegetables from there, he asks some other people to bring vegetables from this underground. So it's quite new activity for him for a long years. And my mother sit in the underground. Sometimes she is coming back to her flat. It's like it's the same home because we don't have normal shelters. We won't prepare for this massive war. We have just building with just small underground floor. It's not prepared for hiding for a long time. That's why many people just coming back to flat to, to wash themselves, to sleep a bit. One night, my mother was sitting in this underground whole night. It was impossible to sleep there, impossible to lie. And all of them, because of this hard shelling, with jet rockets, with rats, with uragans, they were just sitting whole night like this. And everybody forgot about COVID and about other illnesses. But anyway, it's not good to sit in with this crowd in the underground without air conditioning. So my mother is coughing already after 3 nights in this underground. What about other people? Yeah, for example, I saw news from the metro stations. A really big problem in metro station is they have toilet, but it's not prepared for these crowds of people. But they also have children who need Pampers or something, and it's almost impossible now to buy something. I don't know how they deal with animals actually, with all these dogs and cats. I mean, I don't go now to the underground station to check because it's a bit far away from me. But civilians, a lot of civilians who feel to help their country go to some voluntary stuff. We have voluntary chats. And for example, somebody can write that we need medicine or we need money or we need something. And we are trying to fix some humanitarian help, some help from volunteers. Even before this huge invasion, we still had war on Donbass already for 8 years. And the day before war started, actually, I wanted to go to make the hiding net. We're making hiding nets for our military sources by hand from pieces of the clothes. And I wanted to go to make this net with the volunteers and to send it to Donbass region. But then this aggression started and we couldn't meet because we didn't know if it's safe to go there to this point where we could do it. Also, a lot of volunteers doing this explosive stuff, doing cocktail Molotov for using it when they need. A lot of people, even not how to say, without military education, came to the groups of territory defense. And now it's kind of military groups, but from some of them are professional warriors, some of them not professional. Some of them kind of they were soldiers, but then they went to retire, and now they came back, and state gave them weapon, and we have these groups of territory defense, and they help a lot because Russia play a fair game, and some of the Russian people come to our cities like weird like our army, or for example they bring our flag or something like this, and we really need a lot of these groups of territory defense to find these masked Russians and to kill them or to prison them. So whole nation is working together now.
Hi, ma'am. I'm Himal, and can you tell us a bit about the mental trauma the people are going through at the moment?
Okay, what about me? My biggest mental trauma now is that I'm afraid mostly for my mother. She is 400 kilometers from me. And even longer than that, 400 kilometers, 4 kilometers from her house to the train station under the Grad bombing. And this is the most bad and traumatic question for me, because I was asking her to leave Kharkiv when the first bombing started. And actually I must say that quite scary to wake up after the bomb falling. That's really very loud, and when you don't expect, when you heard that there is a Russian army somewhere there, but you heard about, and we knew about this war on the eastern part, Donetsk, Lugansk, but nobody expected this forced attack in the 4 in the morning on the, I don't remember, maybe 7 or 10 cities. But that was crazy. I heard this. I called to my mom, and she said they also bombing them, and a lot of this. And I said to her, just sit to the transport and go west. Let's go west. And she said, no, I can't leave my grandpa, and grandpa health is not good for traveling long distance, and he also can die from COVID, can die from everything. I can't leave him. And I said, okay, you can just leave grandpa with the neighbors, because they're living in the same house, and the neighbors will give him food, but at least you will go to me, so we have less potential, how it's called, that potentially less people will die if something happened wrong. But she didn't want, and now only on the 6th day of this invasion, when a lot of houses around our house fell down, a lot of houses of our friends, of our close friends, were bombed. Some of them were bombed with the jet rockets. And after this, she is now saying, okay, I would like to go. And at this moment, I don't know if I want her to stay or to go, because this huge bombing, it's not safe to sit in the underground, but it's also not safe to go in the street. It's also not safe to be it's not safe to be anywhere where Russia bomb can fit, because this morning they put a big bomb into the, I will send you some videos actually, guys. They were bombing central square of Kharkiv. And it's just huge explosions everywhere. And I saw in the chat, I saw in the city chat that somebody just went out to buy bread and were killed. You just went out to buy bread and you're killed. You are not in time to go to the underground and you're killed. Or even you are in the underground, but jet rocket fell onto your house and this underground don't help and you're killed. And that's crazy. And what is okay, it's not mental trauma, it's something else. It's about it's like the moment of trust, when you can see who is who, and you should act. But sometimes it's really, because of this stress, is very difficult. It's very difficult to act, difficult to do something. As for me, I'm trying to, because I'm not good in fighting, so I'm trying to spread information, write some articles. I spoke on Polish TV twice, And I'm trying to explain the world, because Russia has informational agents in many countries, and a lot of fake news also in Europe, in Asia, in other regions. So it's really valuable to spread truthful information, and I hope it will help. At least 3 days ago in the evening, I were giving a small comment on Polish TV, and then in the moment, Poland, in the morning after, Poland supported Ukraine with quick entering the European Union. And I hope there was small part of my work in this too. I really want to take my mother from here. I'm not sure I want to go, because from one side, I want to be safe. From other side, I don't want to leave my country. In general, I can work, transport, writing articles even from abroad, but it's already not very fair. So I don't know if I want to stay or go, but yeah, it's really hard, and I can't imagine how hard it is for people who left without their parents, or even worse, without their children during these 5 days. And okay, it's just crazy. So actually, this video is about that in Russia, a lot of people running away from one man, from one policeman. But in Ukraine, one man is stopping now a tank. And that's the difference. And here is Chernihiv. And now they're stopping invaders, also just coming to their tent without weapon. So here Ukrainians came to stop tank without any weapon and singing Ukrainian hymn. And here is Kharkiv and after bombing. Okay. So a lot of just a second. So a lot of bombing, a lot of destruction, but also a lot of kindness of our people who are trying to stop virus just with free hands. And what I must say is that some of these soldiers of Russia are really not so bad people as their president, and they really stop sometimes, but sometimes don't. Because in Kiev, some of the soldiers came to the city with a huge military car, and they were just went over the small auto car of civilian guy, and he was just smashed into his car. So there are different peoples, but in some cities, even the soft forces just asking help, and somewhere nothing helps. Yeah, so we can come back to your questions.
Ma'am, Himalik here again. Do you think that Russia will be forced to stop the war?
I hope so. We are waiting for big portions of weapons from Europe, and I hope that we will beat all the Russian army. Bad news is that Belarus started supporting them. I mean, maybe not Belarusian people, but Belarusian government. And anyway, maybe you remember conflicts in Belarus after electing Lukashenko on the this next term. So it's very hard also to protest in Belarus, but I think it's time for huge protest. It's time for Maidan in Belarus and in Russia, because that's totally crazy. And I hope Russian people will understand it, maybe not because they are feeling something to Ukrainians, but maybe because of the economical sanctions, maybe because when they lose opportunity to travel the world, they lose opportunity to, I don't know, to pay for their flat, or they lose their money, maybe they will understand something is going wrong. And I don't know, my biggest dream is that somebody from the closest friends of Putin will understand that he is totally mad already, and just they will kill him. Not really, because that's not how it should work. But I don't know, I'm not the political analyst, so I can't say anything concrete. But I hope they should stop, because if they don't stop in Ukraine, it's really World War III. I just want to say you also for the end some good news, that we are supported now not only by European Union, but also Canada closed sky for the Russia. Also Switzerland supporting Ukraine with sanctions.
And also
And
Germany.
Switzerland didn't support any side even during Second World War, so it's something amazing. In the Hague Tribunal, it's already started this invasion about Russian terroristic actions towards Ukraine. I've heard even South Korea supporting us. I've heard Japan started some kind of sanctions or something towards Russia. So whole world is standing with us, but what we really need now is to cover our sky from this military jets of Russia. But NATO, North Atlantic organization, unfortunately, don't agree to cover our sky. But okay, I hope it will finish soon, really, because every moment somebody is dying here, and it's totally unfair game Russia is playing, and somebody should stop it.
Hi, ma'am. So just now you were talking about the international support you got. So I would like to ask, what is your opinion about the international support that your country have received so far?
As I told you, there are two main statements. First, I'm very grateful for all the help Europe give to us, and some of this help is really first time ever they're doing this. For example, this kind of huge military support never was done by European Union. For example, they accepted to try to enter us with some quick procedure into European Union, or at least into some country more closer to this process. Poland helping so much with our refugees, really, we're really grateful. Switzerland, first time ever taking someone's side. South Korea, Japan, Canada, everybody, we are really thankful. A lot of people from other countries come into our international military force, and now they don't need visas, they just can come and fight for us and fight for the peace all over the world. But among not good news that NATO, you understand this NATO? I don't remember how it will be in English. North Atlantic Ocean Coalition.
It's called the NATO as well. They know about the NATO.
Okay, but they don't want to cover the sky because they don't want maybe Russia aggression come to America, to the United States, and this is bad. because with covered sky we could do much more effectively. But in general, it's bad that all the society all over the world finally heard Ukraine only after this massive invasion, because we were telling them about possibility of this 8 years ago. We were asking them to help our country when it was only small regions took by Russia. And already after 8 years, when we already have some children, they were grown up in Donbas region, not knowing how it is living without a bombing. So they grow up, they went to school, and they, from the very early years, they just live in the place where all the time bomb can fall. And they're so natural to them. Just woke up, go to biology lesson, and then go hide to the shelter because it's next bombing. But it was small region of Ukraine, but it was still valuable part of our country. And Europe and all the world didn't hear that's a problem. And now they finally understood it. It's good, but it's bad they understood this 8 years after, and after such a horrible invasion.
So I'm Sitalini Vijayaratna, and this is my question. Do you think it is possible for a ceasefire agreement? I
don't believe in this agreement, because they proposed to meet, and after 2 hours after this proposition of this negotiation, after 2 hours, Zhytomyr airport were bombed with jet rocket, and then during whole day and during night and during these negotiations, Kharkiv was bombing with jet rockets, with Iskanders. So how could be even called negotiations when you are bombing with such a huge rockets civilians of our cities? So I don't know. I mean, we went. I don't know how it's possible negotiate about something. But Ukraine is trying to do the best from the diplomatic side too. But I don't know how they could speak calmly in these negotiations during Russia bombing our civilians and during houses in Kharkiv and in other cities falling down. I don't know how it can be called negotiations. But Russia were expecting that we will say, okay, we are so scared, we're taking our weapons off, but we wouldn't say this. I think we wouldn't say this because it's not time for it. We will stay because nobody else can stay, because Europe were sitting before with all these diplomatic missions that didn't help, and can help only somebody who will stay and don't be scared. And for nowadays is Ukraine. Yeah, sorry, just my mom were calling. I was asking her to try to leave now, but as huge bombings continue in the center of Kharkiv, eastern Ukraine. They bombed city administration, they ruined opera house, they ruined renovated philharmony, they ruined a lot of buildings, they bombed city with rockets, and our shelters, our ground floors of buildings don't help from this bombing. And they will have kind of military hour after 2 hours. So at 3, nobody can go out. And no car can go out without special permission. And I was asking her to come to the train station and try to go to Kiev, but she say it's almost not possible, because first they can bomb train station too. Second, if there is no train, they can't come back through the city because of this military hour. So she should spend 1 more night at least in Kharkiv, and I just pray that they wouldn't send jet rocket to the train station, so evacuation could continue.
War was an unacceptable way of solving whatever the problems there were in the world. That there would be problems of tyranny, injustice of nations, and that injustice and tyranny should not be tolerated and should be fought and resisted. But the one thing that must not be used to solve that problem is war, because war is inevitably the indiscriminate killing of large number of people. Now we have come to the end of the meeting, and I would love to thank you for taking your time to join and share such news with us during this most difficult time. And I like to say that to keep oneself safe does not mean to hurt bury oneself. So let's stay strong and fight for each other. And I, as a Sri Lankan, very honestly hope the best for your safety and the safety of all the other Ukrainians.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to this conference. Thank you very much for being with Ukraine in this unfair fight. And I hope it will end soon. Goodbye and pray for Ukraine. Slava Ukraini.
So Ukrainian.
Героям слава.
Yeah, stay